Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kesler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? Y'all, we have a lot to talk about today, and I'm super excited because I think this is a topic that has been feeling the heat with a lot of American families. Why is it so damn hard to get ahead in today's economy? You may be like me, you're a Gen Z, you're a millennial, and you're like, this economy and what I'm able to buy with my money is not the same as what my parents and grandparents were allowed to do. Why do I feel like I'm stuck and I'm not continuing to get ahead? I literally can't even go buy my own house right now because it just makes more sense for me to rent rather than it is to have $120,000 just for a down payment on a house. I get it. All right, I'm in this generation with y'all, and it is different. And something that we have to realize is this economy that we're living in today, it's not like the 70s and 80s and where our parents were at back then. They were able to have babies. You know what's kind of sad? Our generation is not having children because it is just too dang expensive to have children. Keep the roof over the head, buy the diapers, buy the food. It's just too expensive, and thus people are not having babies. And it saddens me because I'm like, what if you want to be a mother, you want to be a father, yet you feel like you just physically can't because of the cost of living? Why is this happening? Let's talk about it. Why is this happening? See, I've been traveling around a lot this summer, and I've been meeting up with a lot of the insurance companies. Now, if you're new here, hey, my name's Hannah Kesler. I'm second generation to this concept called the infinite banking concept, pioneered by the late R. Nelson Nash, coming from this black book here, Becoming Your Own Banker. It was my father who taught my siblings and I this concept. So I started to learn about this and being your own banker when I was 8 years old. And I started my first bank, aka my first policy, when I was 18 years old. And I'll tell you, just from then at 18 to now being 26, almost 27, it's been a game changer within my life. I just urge y'all to read up on the concept of the infinite banking concept. And you should start, I think, first. Watch my video on this. If you go to hannahkesler.com, Hannah spelled the same ways forwards and backwards, Kesler with one S, you'll see the money multiplier method right up there on the home screen. Watch that video. I'm telling you, it's going to change your whole perspective on how you're handling your money and really understanding how money actually works. So how do we implement this concept? Well, we utilize a whole life insurance policy. And this whole life policy has to be designed specifically for high immediate cash value. So when I go in to this policy and make my premium deposit, there's immediately cash value in there that I can use for whatever I want, whenever I want. It's nothing more than just my warehouse of my wealth. Instead of me keeping my dollars down at the local bank, I'm storing my money inside of my private bank, aka the whole life policy. And more specifically, you want to work with a mutually owned insurance company. So I've been going around and having these conversations with these insurance companies because they've been doing their annual symposiums over the summer. They've been hosting their trips and hosting us as money mentors. And a common topic that has continued to come up is they keep talking about this K-shaped economy. All right, get out a piece of paper and write the letter K. Okay, after you write K, here's what's happening. The top part of that K, this is going up where the down part of the K is going down. So what's happening is the people who during the COVID times owned businesses, owned real estate, owned appreciating assets. Maybe you had a stock portfolio or a crypto portfolio. Your wealth continued to increase while my bottom K, the majority of America, who's relying on the wages, your savings account, your hourly jobs, your fixed income, you're feeling the inflation, you're feeling the higher housing costs, higher insurance costs, the car payments are more expensive, and now even interest rates are more expensive. And this happened because the Fed went in there and started to print a whole bunch of money into our economy. Do y'all remember the stimulus checks? Some people got PPP loans. There were lower interest rates. You could get the corporate business funding. Now, because interest rates have increased because the Fed wanted to slow down the inflation, cost of living and housing prices, car prices are more expensive. And for us in the younger generation, we feel like it's hard. We're like, oh my goodness, do I even have any hope left anymore? How am I going to get ahead? How am I going to build assets? See, during the COVID time, those folks who had and held on to their assets, they continued to get more wealthy, where maybe us, the Gen Z millennials, we didn't have those assets. And so now we're trying to buy it at these peaks, the high times right now. And what does Warren Buffett always tell us? He says, buy low, sell high, don't lose money. Yeah, and he's talking specifically about a stock portfolio, but I think it could go to any investment in asset class that you're thinking. So when the Fed started to circulate more money into the economy, that's why the prices started to increase on the grocery expenses, gasoline expenses, oil expenses, because the products that we had, they remain the same. So if the demand is the same, yet we got more money, prices are just going to naturally increase because of that. And now this gap continues to widen and widen, and the people who have already owned the assets continue to build the wealth. But again, the people who are trying to buy them right now, you're seeing yourself almost priced out. How can I get ahead of this? Why does it feel harder than ever right now? And how can I continue to get ahead of this? Because I don't want to keep struggling, Hannah. I want to feel ahead. I want to feel like I'm building something. And at the end of the day, you got to really get to know what your why is. A lot of the time people will say, well, I want more money. Okay, I want more money too, but why do you want the more money? If you think that if your income were to double tomorrow and it's going to change everything for you, it's not. Get in the know of what your why truly is. Do you want to have the freedom to travel when you want, the freedom to live and go places and spend your time with the people that you want to spend it with when you want? At the end of the day, it's just the freedom. I know some of y'all have kids, grandkids, and that's your purpose. That's your why. You want to be there with your babies and watch them as they grow into amazing, beautiful young adults. Me, I don't really know if I want to have babies. I think I do, but first we got to find a Prince Charming first. But I want to have the freedom to travel the country, explore the outdoors, go to my music festivals. That's just what I'm into. I want the freedom of the time and the location. You producing more income is not going to change a whole lot for yourself if you're not controlling where the cash flow is going and where you're storing the cash flow at. Because you could be a great income earner. You can be a doctor making $500,000 a year, yet you feel like you're never getting ahead because prices are increasing, or maybe you have the mentality and the ego that you got to keep up with the Joneses, that you cannot get ahead. If you think about it, our parents just lived in a total different economy where you could save your money. You could put it into a CD account, get you 4%, and hedge against the inflation. You could pay cash for everything. hopefully if you've been following my channel, you understand that paying cash is actually losing money due to opportunity cost that's lost. We can talk about that later on here in today's episode. And you were told to go to college, get a good degree, find yourself a good corporate job, keep getting the promotions, climb the corporate ladder, and then hopefully your pension will be there. Y'all, even pensions are like a time of the past, okay? Now everybody's preaching, put your money in 401ks, put it in this IRA, put it inside of these qualified accounts, store the money here, and then when you're ready to retire, the money's going to be there for you to be able to use. Yet nobody is out there teaching us about the taxes, the penalties. What if I need that money right now? I was just talking with somebody this week. She has money sitting inside of her 401k, and if she were to just use some of that money, she would be able to pay off consumer debt, a car loan, and this personal loan, and it would free her up $2,100 a month. Over $24,000 a year it would free up for her, yet she doesn't want to take the tax hit, which, surprise, the taxes are always going to be there, and she doesn't want to take that penalty hit because she's 47. She's not to the 59 and a half when penalties are no longer there anymore. And it frustrates me that people, even employers, are not educating their employees on the specifics of these types of accounts. It's like up to you to get all the facts straight, and you got to do your own due diligence and homework. I do believe that we should be doing a better job as employers and American citizens just to educate our people properly. But you guys have this money, and the money is just locked up into other vehicles and other asset classes that you could be using to then free up the cash flow that's going out the door. Everybody wants to talk about cash accumulation, yet we fail to talk about the cash flow. I don't believe that you're struggling financially because you're lazy. I think you're just trying to play this game by an old rule book. And if you were to update that rule book, now you will be able to have more of the control, more of the certainty, more liquidity, instead of having to wait for time to pass just to tap into some of the money that you have. Time is the only resource that you can't get back, my friends. I really want y'all to take that to heart. See, there's going to be some people who are going to work until they're 65, 70 years old. They're going to store monies away into a 401k, and then they're going to want to start to take out the distributions. And then what's going to happen is they're going to die suddenly. Their body won't be able to move like how they could have been in their earlier years. Now they got this crap load of money that they are never able to use because they let the time pass them by. My ADD brain is going off, and I'm even thinking about vacation time. Y'all, if you guys aren't taking your vacation time off your work, please take your PTO days, okay? There's so much more to life than just to work. We live to work in America, and it's sad. And I'd rather y'all start working to live. And how can I even shift from me trading my time for my money to allowing my money to work for me, or leveraging other people, leveraging your money so that it can work for you? My advice is continue to increase your financial literacy in your education. The world is going to continue to change. The economy is going to continue to change, and your strategy should keep up and change with it as time goes on. And another big thing, and I know it's tough to say to my generation, but you should be owning assets. I don't want y'all to continue to rent until you're 50 years old. Instead of just only earning the money, learn how to own assets that can appreciate and generate income over time. Start that business that you've been thinking about. What's the worst that's going to happen? do it. You shape your own reality at the end of the day. So shape the reality how you want to live this lifetime. Buy the real estate, buy the investments, whether it's stock options or real estate or gold and silver. Really buy these assets that will continue to appreciate and allow you to wealth build year after year. Now that you start to wealth build, let's say that again. Once you get to the point of the wealth building phase, now it's time to increase the cash flow and stop allowing dollars to leak out of your family month after month, whether it's because of the volume of interest you're paying to somebody else or the debts that you're continuously having to pay because you're just paying the minimum interest payments. I'm even thinking about student loans. Oh my goodness, like compared to our parents and grandparents, they didn't have the buku bucks of student loan debt that I'm seeing a lot of us Gen Z millennials have today. And if you have student loan debt, reach out to me. There are things that you could do to get rid of the student loan debt. We just don't know them because it's not mainstream topic. It's not what the internet and our parents, our financial advisors are teaching us of how we should be tackling on the student loan debt. I even know so many of you who have degrees in student loans, yet you ain't even using the degree and you're paying on that student loan each and every month. This is why personally, I'm not a huge fan of college. I'm actually a little peeved at my niece right now because I feel like the only reason she wants to go to college is to live the experience and live in the sorority houses. And I'm like, girl, are you even going to college anymore for the degree, or you just want to go for the experience at this point? Because I do believe that if you have the right connections and you get yourself into the correct networks, and even see who is living the lifestyle and doing what you want to do, and how can you just go in and be a mentee with them and have them coach you on what they do day in and day out on their business. I feel like that's so much more valuable than just sitting inside of a classroom listening to your professors talk to you about money, wealth building, the profession that you're getting into. Now, I get it. You do have to have a degree for some of the college education, like a doctor, an attorney, maybe even a teacher. But my people who are going to school to major in entrepreneurship and business, y'all, what in the F are you doing? For real. I mean, I dropped out of college. So I was there. I get it. I was doing some college. And luckily then it was my grandfather who had the 529 plan that was able to pay for that community college. And I went to community college. I didn't even go to any universities. I had no interest in going to universities because my dad did do a good job teaching us about debt, how to keep the money we're making, how to be more smarter with our cash. So luckily it didn't go that whole road, but I was sitting there in class and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a CPA. I feel like it's a lot more fun making money than what it is sitting in class learning how to. And if you really, really think of it, think about all of the professors and how their financial life is. Most of them are in a crap load of debt, yet they're giving you, the student, financial advice. And it's almost like the teachers are now financial advisors. That's the equivalent of the poor leading the blind. Or the blind leading the poor, I should say. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. So hone in on the cash flow. Build the liquidity. Build a place where you can access your capital for what you want when you want. Liquidity allows you to have options. It reduces stress. Yes, it's important to have some cash accumulation somewhere, but have it be stored in a place where you're hedging against inflation. It's protected if something were to happen, like a lawsuit or the markets, if they go down. Have it in a place where it's protected, where it's guaranteed to grow. And if I didn't mention this already, being able to access it for what you want when you want. All right. That's why I store my money inside of my policies. It's that basic, that simple. I am able to warehouse my money in the environment where nobody can tell me what I can do with the money, how I can access it, when I can access it, and allow me to build my dollars and hedge against this hidden tax of inflation so that I don't feel like I'm falling behind. Hey, sorry to interrupt the episode here, but I want to take a quick break. If what you're hearing today has made you curious about infinite banking, how it works, I want you to go watch my free presentation. In it, I walk you through the same steps that my family took to pay off $984,000 of debt in 39 months, and how we've been able to recycle and recapture every single dollar since then. This isn't theory. This is real. I mean, this is what the wealthy have been using over 200 years to keep the money within the family. This is literally where banks, conventional banks, store a boatload of their dollars at. And it's the same process that we've helped thousands of families across the country put into action. So go to themoneymultiplier.com/presentation and see for yourself how you can start taking control of your money today. All right, let's get back into the episode. I really want y'all to measure your success not just by the income. Because let me ask you a question. If your income were to double tomorrow, would you automatically feel financially free? Most people would say yes, but really, would you feel financially free? Probably not, because your income's not the problem. It's the expenses, and it's the cash flow going out the door, and it's the system of where you're operating at. See, our parents who were taught to pay cash for everything, they did great. You accumulated the money. You probably stored it inside of a checking account at the bank. You built up the money. Let's say it's $30,000 and I want to go buy myself a $30,000 car. You take out the money from the checking account and pay cash for the car. Great. I have the money. Let's do it again. Great. You have the car, they have the money. But now what you immediately have to start doing is saving up for the next car purchase. And a lot of us Gen Z millennials ain't doing that because cost of living is so high. So you just scoot on by, keep living your day-to-day life, hopping in your car, going to work, and then one day the transmission goes out. One day you need new tires. One day the car blows up and you need a new car, and you never prepped. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. So now you got to go out and get a car note, because if I don't have this car, I'm not going to be able to go to work, and now I'm going to get fired from my job, and then I won't have any income that's coming in. More income is not going to lead you to being financially free. It's how can I control and keep the money that I'm making. I've said it time and time again, I would rather be in a business where I made $300,000 and I spent $100,000 versus a business where I made $1 million yet spent $975,000. How much am I keeping at the end of it? Once the expenses get paid, how much am I truly keeping? So to me, this is why I use the policy. I take the money and I make my deposits into my bank, aka the whole life policy designed properly for high immediate cash value. I'll take that money, I'll put it into my policy. Then from the policy, I accumulated the dollars to have $30,000 to then take the money from the policy in a form of a loan. And then I took that money and gave it to the car people. So they have the money, I now have the car. Now what I do is I'm going to pay myself back. Treat my private bank just as if I were to take a loan from Wells Fargo. I'm expected to pay them back, and I'm expected to pay them back with interest. Because if I don't, they will come and tow my car right off my driveway. So now I'm going to be an honest banker, and I'm going to pay myself back and charge myself interest. Do I have to pay it back? No. Do I even have to pay it back with interest? Not at all. But you should, because your money is going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. I pay myself back every month. Now, I will say I'm not as disciplined in paying it back every single month. But what I literally just did today is I took a chunk of cash and I paid back my policy loans. And so technically I paid myself back 4 months of pay myself back money. You're going to be able to operate the system how you want. You're in control of your own system, but it is up to you. You have the power, you have the responsibility, and the only one who could F up this system and how it's designed is you and how you use your system. Big major point here I want to make. Why would I leverage the cash value from the policy instead of just withdrawing it from the checking account? The reason I take the cash out from my policy is because I'm not withdrawing that money. I'm taking a policy loan. I'm borrowing from the general funds of the insurance company. So in the real world, I'm using their $30,000, which then allows my $30,000 to sit in the policy to grow and compound and remain in that tax-free environment as if it was never touched. I'm using their $30,000 to buy my car, and I'm continuing to allow my $30,000 to grow and compound. I'm getting on the right side of compound interest. I'm getting on the right side of the opportunity cost of my money, continuing to earn interest while I'm able to spend it at the same time. That's what we need to shift. We need to shift the system, the strategy, instead of continuing to save inside of a checking account, inside of your 401k, locking it up, your IRA, your Roths, your self-directed, your TSPs. I want to remain in control, and I want to have access to that money when I want. That's the difference here, and that's what's going to continue to allow you to get ahead no matter what's going on in the economy. I want to be smarter, and I want to control the warehouse of where I'm leaving my hard-earned money at. You don't need to predict the economy, but you do need a financial system that can survive it. You may be thinking to yourself, well, hey, this kind of sounds like the economy is hopeless then. It's not hopeless. You just got to pivot. You got to pivot the environment of where you're leaving your money at. And again, you don't just need more income. Yes, more income helps, but without the better cash flow, it can absorb a lot of the same pressures. And I know we can't control the inflation. We can't control what the Federal Reserve System's going to do, what banks decides to do, what politicians decide to do, the government. But you can control your liquidity, your financing choices, and how your dollars are organized. It's a lot. I know. I know a lot of us are feeling the heat and feeling the pressure. This is why it's so important than ever to truly get in control, get on the right side of compound interest, and stop feeling the FOMO, okay? I get it. You want to be in with everybody else into crypto, into stocks, and max those different asset classes out, but those are all investments. At the end of the day, you have to have a place to warehouse your money at. Where can I store the money that it's going to be protected? It has liquidity. Government is out of my hair. It has a death benefit because it's not an if it happens, it's a when. The wealth transfer can now go tax-free to your beneficiaries or charitable organization, whoever you want to leave that money to. You're in control of the system. And it's a place to truly have freedom. That's what we're all after at the end of the day, is how can I create more freedom for myself? And in my opinion, how you create the freedom is by buying up more whole life insurance. That's what I'm continuing to do. My father right now is actually buying more policies too. My older brother wants to start more as well. And even my uncle, he's been talking to me because we got a new family member, and he wants to put a policy on that family member. Because we're thinking long range, we're thinking into the future. I'm not letting the shiny object syndrome come into my eyes. I'm going to stay disciplined and preserve the wealth that I have. It's almost like your body. It's a lot easier to maintain health rather than fix it later on because you completely screwed it up by the partying, the drinking, the drugs, etc., not exercising, bad fast food, whatever, right? It's the same thing with your money. It's a lot easier to maintain and preserve the wealth that you have at this level rather than having to fix it later on because, oh, you jacked up and made a really bad investment choice. See what I'm saying? Look over your cash flow, look over your finances, do it monthly. Please, I please y'all, you know, words are hard. I plead y'all to look over your cash flow, get in the know, because if you're not, it's just like flying through a black box and you want to know exactly what is going on each and every month. I just did my spreadsheet this week where I updated my chart, now seeing where I was at, and that's how I knew, oof, Hannah, it's been a minute. Let's go and pay back some of your policy loans. You need to be practicing what you're preaching. And it's helpful because then I'm able to accumulate wealth that when an opportunity or taxes comes up, I have money that's sitting there that I know I can go and use for these things. Hopefully that was helpful. Keep tuning into the channel. We talk about financial literacy all day long. And I will see y'all next Thursday, okay? This coming Thursday, I should say, 9 a.m. Eastern time, Money Mornings with Hannah. I'm going to be live on the YouTube channel, on my Instagram page, my Facebook page. So come and hang out, ask me questions live. I'm always there. And I just go through different topics, the one that are heavy on my noggin for that week. Do well, be good, trust the process, my friends. All right, we're not going to eat the whole elephant in one night. We eat the elephant one bite at a time. I believe in y'all. You got this. And if you need me and just want to have a one-on-one conversation together to walk through your financial picture, and I essentially just put myself in your shoes and I'm like, all right, well, if this was me, this is what I'd be doing right now. Here's my feedback. Schedule a time with me. All right, send me an email, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. Hannah spelled the same ways, forwards and backwards. hannah@themoneymultiplier.com, and we can connect one-on-one together. All right, until next week, do well, be great. I'll see you then. Hey, y'all, if you've made it this far, this is where most people stop, and that's why they continue to be stuck with their money. Continue on with your education. Click right here. It'll take you to the next video.